Round 2 of the NBL is in the books. We're back with you on NBL Now to wrap it all up and cast an early eye to Round 3. Joel Peterson, along with the man who is coming in hot off his Who Ya or Hard Enough segment on NBL.com.au, Damon Lowery. G'day, Damon.
JD, top of the morning to you, man. NBL 25, man, is heating up big time, ain't it?
It is, and there's results all over the place. Results we're not expecting, results that we're not necessarily seeing coming. I do want to pick you up on a couple of things out of your column. It's on NBL.com.au and the NBL app as well. Are we officially changing the name of the Throwdown to the Beatdown? Is that just sort of set in stone now?
I can't see why we wouldn't. Like, in order to have a rivalry, the team has to win, then you got to win. It's got to kind of go backwards and forwards, a little bit of a roller coaster. This ain't even close. Nobody can remember the last time the Phoenix actually won a Throwdown. Had to go back and look it up. I think it was during COVID, when nobody was even there to see it anyway. So yeah, I can't see why. It's disrespectful to the word Throwdown.
Yeah, there's not much throwing going on. There's a lot of down, but there's not much throwing, unfortunately. So you mentioned Rocco Zikarsky. You need to get him some more minutes coming off that Brisbane bench. How do you fit that in among everything that's going on there at the moment?
You gotta reevaluate your priorities, Brisbane Bullets. Like, look, God made this dude 7'3". You're disrespecting God. Now, that might be a bit harsh, but the dude is so tall, he's so talented. But what's the point? He might as well be 5'3", Joe. They're not using him. And when he does hit the floor, it's going to be probably in jump time. And if he hits the floor, he's going to be 22 feet away from the basket. I'm almost 100% sure if he got the ball around the restricted circle, who's blocking his jump hook? So when they call Rocco over to do some individuals and he's doing all these jump hooks with both hands and drop steps and dunking, what's the point of doing all that stuff? Because when the game starts, he's never in a position of his strengths. So I see it as a waste. He's going to be out of the NBL next season. We're probably never going to see him again in Australia. I just feel like the Bullets are just leaving a lot on the table with this dude.
Do you think the issue there's an issue at the defensive end too in terms of fitting him into their scheme? Against New Zealand, they looked like they sort of preyed on that. We know what a shot blocker he is, but teams pulling him further away from the hoop, how would you counteract that?
Look, if they're going to be running ball screens and picking and popping, let's see what he can do. He looks pretty mobile to me. It's not like he's a lumbering kind of a big. Let's just see. You can do some things defensively. You can maybe trap, get the ball out of a guard's hands. But here's the thing. Just because you give up an advantage on one end, don't mean you can't have the same advantage on the other end, because somebody's got to guard Rocco. But because they don't make him a focal point, I can't see how Rocco could even be excited being in the team right now, the way they're playing.
Yeah, it's not a great deal to be excited about the way they've been playing. Josh Bannon didn't play the other night. Justin Schuller said he'd play if required. He was required. He didn't play. So, yeah, the Ducks and Drakes in terms of that selection's been interesting. The other one I wanted to pick you up on out of the column, which is a good read, is Lockie Ulbrich and the two sleeves that he was rocking with, this time on his arms, because he's had the same thing. So the first game they played against Cairns, he had the two leg sleeves. I mean, is he just swapping sleeve? Like, what is going on with this kind of fashion thing that I love Lockie Ulbrich. I just don't understand the fashion choices at the moment.
I don't get it neither. Now, look, obviously, this ain't even about basketball, because we already know this dude can play. He's on the best team in the competition. We love everything about Lockie's basketball prowess. But his choice in fashion, this is what I don't get. Like, I went back and I straight away got flashbacks of Throwdown and the Incredibles. Just the sleeves, all he needed was the mask. And the skins, and the summertime is rolling around too, Joe. Like, there's going to be a whole bunch of extra sweating going on. It ain't necessary. What did you see? What's it reminded you of?
Throwdown was that didn't pop into my mind, but it was a great comparison. I just have worries for Lockie when he's on the beach in Wollongong in the middle of summer and he's out there with a full-length rash vest or a full-length wetsuit or something like that.
Maybe he got third-degree burns that we don't know about.
Yeah, possibly. No, he's a special talent. And I mean, quite frankly, to be honest, Lockie, I love him that much. He can do whatever he wants, and he's still one of my boys. But Yeah, there you go. I think there's a little bit of fun there. So head to the NBL.com.au or the NBL app to check out Damon's Hoo-yah or Harden Up from this week. Let's stay on the Hawks because you were very high on them coming into this season. A lot of people were. Were you quite this high on them? 3-0 and an absolute offensive juggernaut?
I was high on them when I thought Gary Clark was a chance. It all depended on what they could do with that import spot. And once Darius Days came in, once Paydays showed up, I thought, okay, yep, because everything else was there. The continuity, another year together, a full year of Justin Tatum, who is the Hawk whisperer. Like, Trey Kells just met the dude. Trey Kells is like, man, he's like my homie, but he's my coach. That's how he relates to players. Like, he should teach a master class on how to relate to players because, man, they playing their asses off for this dude. So I couldn't be any higher on him. Everybody fits in. Everybody buys in. Dave O'Hickey is giving that extra backcourt punch off the bench. You also got Lockie Albrecht off the bench, balling out. Ace J, the Korean sniper. There is nothing to not like about this Hawks team. And I'm sure Derek Rucker, who when he was all gassed up on the Sydney Kings, and he said he'd walk from Brisbane to Perth if they didn't win it, I bet when he was watching that game, he thought, damn, I better start training for this because this might not go as well as I thought it did.
Yeah, Ruck's off-season might be a little bit busier than he thought. I don't know whether he can do his the basketball sessions in the mornings on the road or how that works. He might need to take a mobile court with him on the back of a semi-trailer. Two teams that I don't reckon we've given quite enough love to so far. The New Zealand Breakers, they head to the US. They are undefeated as they go there. I don't reckon a lot of people had that on their bingo cards. What do you made of the Breakers start to the year?
Yeah, look, I had them way down the bottom in my way too early predictions. 2-0, not a massive sample size, but also beating two ordinary teams. Brisbane, which they almost lost, and the Phoenix, which they tried their hardest to give that one away. So they don't have any major scalps to get me too excited, but I will acknowledge, you got to acknowledge 2-0. It's nothing better than like I said, I'll take a ugly win over a pretty loss any day. So they're going to get better as the season goes on. But right now, it's not that much to get overly excited about, in my opinion.
It's exactly what they needed heading over to that US, though. To be 2-0, they couldn't have asked for more, especially with a little bit of unavailability. And then the Cairns Taipans, that was, Jenna Hay was in our commentary team on Saturday night. She just described it as gutsy. It was a gutsy win that they pulled out against the Adelaide 36ers. Down a couple of players. We know that they obviously don't have their full complement out there at the moment, but they were challenged. They pulled that one out, and in front of their home crowd, the microwave, the furnace, whatever you want to call him, Rob Edwards, he did some really nice things, but that was a really impressive win.
Absolutely. 100% all guts, all heart, all grit. Adam Ford, he's a barroom brawler type dude. You see him, the way he prowls the sidelines. His team's going to fight. Every single Cairns team that shows up. That's why I said if you show up in the Cairns with the wrong attitude, you can forget it. These dudes playing with all kind of heart. I love it. Rob Edwards, my boy from Detroit, from Motown, the Motown Mauler. We're going to come up with something for Rob Edwards. He's going to get buckets. The biggest thing I thought for that team, because Tanner Groves was down, way down. But Kyle Adnam showed up. Kyle Adnam made his first start of the season. His first game of the season. And the last game, they didn't have a point guard. No Terran Armstrong, no Jackson McCoy, and no Kyle. You ain't winning. It's way too hard. So now that Kyle shows up, you could just see Kyle brought some stability to that group, brought some poise and some leadership, just what they needed to get over the line.
Yeah, he was really important to them down the stretch, and he's been a great addition. They hope that Taran Armstrong will be back this week. He'll be a watch. Mitch Norton will be a watch on the injury front. There's quite a few that, as we come into round 3, we'll be keeping an eye on the injury front. Josh Bannon, of course, for the Bullets as well. So that's the New Zealand Cairns side of things. The teams on the other side of their most recent results, Southeast Melbourne and Adelaide, are both winless, and they play on Thursday. This is going to be a massive game at the Adelaide Entertainment Centre. First up, before we delve into the individual teams, who do you think needs it more?
The Phoenix, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix needs to win more. They already have 3 losses. 0-3 in a 27-game competition. 0-4 would be a disaster, an absolute disaster, especially with all the talent they have. And this is why I say, Joe, you cannot be seduced by talent. The talent got to be able to mesh. Now, right now, it is the opposite of meshing. Not to say they can't work it out later, but if they go 0-4, I mean, we all know how tough it is to win in Adelaide. So, and Adelaide is equally as desperate, not quite equally, but they're desperate. So I think it's the majority, the biggest team that needs to win this game is the Phoenix.
They both splashed the cash in the offseason, both of these teams, to make some moves. If you were Mike Kelly, would you consider a lineup change to bring Nathan Sobey off the bench and give a second unit a bit of punch and maybe get an Angus Glover into the starting lineup?
I will consider everything, and that would be one of the considerations. Let's see if we can inject a different vibe to the group. Now, you know what's really difficult, and this is so Sam McKinnon's an assistant coach, come over from Brisbane with Nathan Sobey. Them two have a relationship. Sam and Mike have a relationship from the Magic days back in the day. And people might have, and then you got the whole Angus Glover, the Sidney King, Jordy Hunter, Derek Walton Jr. You got that kind of piece as well. And with all they might feel priority-wise, who's top billing, who's second billing, that kind of thing. That's going to take some time to work out. It probably should have, I don't know, probably could have been worked out a little bit earlier, maybe in the preseason or whatever. So I would definitely consider that. I would also consider getting Matt Hurt and Joe Wieskamp more involved in the offense. These two dudes coming in going, what the hell is going on over here? Like, we don't really necessarily care about the hierarchy. We just want to play basketball. And I feel like them two are kind of flying way too below the radar for mine. Because we saw what Hurt's been doing since the season started. And Wieskamp is extremely talented. A lot of the focus has been on Sobey and Walton, when I think some of that focus should be shifted to these imports.
Yeah, Matt Hurt's been terrific. He's been absolutely scoring at will. And I think, it's more about trying to make the most of Nathan Sobey rather than trying to paper over any cracks in his game or anything. I think people are pretty happy to chip away at Nathan Sobey, but we know what he can deliver. It's just how do you get the most out of him within that architecture? In the Adelaide 36ers case, Isaac Humphries has been the big talking point through 2 rounds. He's been low on production. He doesn't look as involved. You highlighted in your column for NBL.com.au. Would you be moving Montrezl Harrell into the starting lineup and bringing Isaac Humphries off the bench? Or do you think there are changes within the way they are playing they can make to make this a little bit smoother?
It's the way they're playing. I wouldn't change the starting lineup. I would just change the focus of that starting group. See, don't forget, when Scott Dennis was coaching, he was a big old school, get the ball down low to Isaac Humphries. Isaac Humphries rewarded him and the team by averaging 15 and 8. So now in comes Mike Wells. He's an NBA dude, Joe. And we all know what NBA dudes think about big centers. They don't like them. They don't like that style of play. It ain't old school no more. Now they want their centers to set picks and dribble handoffs and get out of the way. That's all they want. That's not what Isaac Humphries is going to be good at. He's not going to protect the yard if you don't feed him from time to time. And I'm not saying he's got to be the focal point, but he's got to be involved. And they're doing a terrible job. Even if you put Montrezl Harrell in that lineup, I'm pretty sure I heard Montrezl Harrell say in no unspecific terms during the last game, give me the effing ball. Pretty sure he said that. So it's just the way they play. Yes, you have a high-octane, potent, ball-dominant backcourt. Any given night, DJ can go for 30, and I believe Kendrick Davis can do the same. How do you mesh talent? That is the biggest talking point so far for mine in NBL 25.
How do you mesh talent, and maybe how do you mesh personalities as well in the case of the Adelaide 36ers? Because there is a lot going on, and I reckon that locker room would be a pretty interesting place at times. So that is Thursday. That's going to be a bumper start to round 3 in the Hungry Jacks NBL. Adelaide and Southeast Melbourne on Thursday, both teams that desperately need a win. Is going to be absolutely fascinating to see how that one plays out. You're looking very Parisian this morning, Damon, so probably about time that we let you get on with the rest of your day. Thanks for your company this morning. Look forward to talking to you soon.
Can I just add one last thing, Joe, before
Absolutely.
You know those dudes that's running, those dudes is in the overtime? You know our 3 mates, Leonard, Hooley, and Felix.
Yep.
Them dudes when I went to visit them a couple of weeks ago, I was in the neighborhood, figured I'd pop in, say hello. And they all, Joe, ganged up on me when I said the Melbourne United wasn't as talented, wasn't as good as previous teams. I wonder what they think about when the Melbourne United trotted out 72 points in that loss to the Tasmania Jack Jumpers. I wonder what they're going to say about that on overtime. But anyway, we'll leave it at that, Joe. And I will get back into the real world.
I don't know that they'll highlight the 13 of 24 free throws that they put up against the Tassie Jack Jumpers the other night. Damon, good being business with you as always. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks for your company on NBL Now as well, nbl.com.au and the NBL app, the place to go for all your news as we build up to round 3.